Today I'm going to show you how to install and set up this device. It's called the Shelly one, and it's probably the most popular of the Shelly devices. It's just a basic Wi-Fi switch which we can control using our mobile phone, using an app, the iPad or your laptop, all using the Shelly control app, which will control each of their devices. This is just a very basic Wi-Fi switch. In the box we have the QR code for a Facebook page. People are just discussing problems they have and how to overcome various things. It's quite technical. I'm going to break things down really basic and show you how this is done in a really simple way. So the device itself, I'm just going to mention there's some instructions in there. We're not going to need them today because I'm going to show you. So looking at the device, if you have a look along the top here, we've got some input terminals. Starting on the one side, we've got neutral, followed by live. The neutral and live are to power the device. This unit needs a neutral. So in some light switches, you may not have a neutral. There's a possibility that you could connect the neutral to earth and then it would work. I think that's a bit of a botch, to be honest. It's not ideal to use earth in that way, but it will work. However, I think in those cases where you don't have a neutral behind the light switch, you're better off putting this device up near the light fitting. If you've got a light fitting that's just a single single light on a circuit, it goes there. If you've got a string of lights on one particular circuit, then you put this at the master location where you've got your live in and where your switch wires come in and out, which I'll show you in a minute. So neutral, live, 12 volt supply. This will work on 12 volts. We're not going to do that today. This is a UK installation, so we're going to use standard UK 240 volt live switching. The SW is the switch input. What this device is looking for is a live to activate the relay. So live comes in permanently to power it, and if you introduce a live to the SW point, then it will close this relay on the far side. Now this relay is not connected to this side, so we have to decide what our input and output of the relay is going to be. So you can see you've got an I and an O, input, output. So in the UK we'll be switching live. So the input, I, we're going to put a live into there, and then the output, O, goes to our live of our lighting circuit. So once we introduce a live into the SW port, we're then closing this relay, sending I to O, meaning we're putting a live up to the light and switching the light on, because the light itself will have a permanent neutral to it. So I'll just show you the wiring for that now. So here we have the very basic lighting circuit that we see often in the UK. So we've got our mains coming in, live and neutral. The neutral is looped directly through to the light fitting. So the light fitting has a permanent neutral attached. The live input goes through a switch, back out of the switch, into the light. So once we close the switch, the light comes on. Now, as I said before, we could put the Shelly device behind the switch, but if there's no neutral there, then you really need to be fitting this device up in the ceiling near your light fitting. So where you've got your master light for your lighting circuit, that's where you'll introduce this. And I'll show you the wiring for this right now. Okay, so now we're gonna wire the Shelly one into the lighting circuit. First of all, it needs power, neutral and live. So let's do that. So from our mains into our lighting circuit, we've got neutral and we've got live. So let's put a neutral in. find the best way to do this on site is to use the Wagos, so you can just sort of snap your wires in quickly. It's pretty easy. So we've got live going into the Shelly 1 on the L terminal, and then you've got the neutral. Unlike the Shelly Dimmer 2 product, this Shelly 1 does need a neutral to operate. So neutral's going in there. Now this device is now able to be powered up. We could power it up and we could connect to it and set up the Wi-Fi settings. But I'm just going to finish the wiring so that when we do that, we can test the relays, make sure they're all working. So it's got live and it's got neutral. The next thing now is we need a permanent live to the input so that we know we're going to be switching a live. So let's get another permanent live into the main live in. So permanent live goes into the I, which looks like a little tiny number 1 on the Shelly device. I for input, so we're inputting live into one side of our relay. Now the next thing, to get this to activate, we need a switch wire, and then also we need the output to the light. Now on our light switch up in the ceiling, you've got live into the light switch, and then the return would be your switched live. Now at the moment that's going to the light. So we're going to take that switched live out of there. And we're going to run the switched live into the SW on the Shelly device. So when the light switch sends the signal to turn the lighting circuit on, it's putting a live into the SW of the Shelly 1. And then the output, we're going to run from output to the light to power the light up. So the final wire now goes from the output of the Shelly 1 to our light, or our lighting circuit. I'll just quickly run through that wiring now it's all set up. So that neutral's just come out. Let's tighten that back up. Okay, so in the ceiling we've got neutral in, live in, live to the light, and neutral to the light. So the neutral loops straight to the light has a permanent neutral. Neutral also goes into the Shelly 1. Your permanent lives, we've got 3 connections in there. So there's a permanent live to the Shelly 1 to power it. There's a permanent live to the Shelly 1's relay input because we're going to be switching live. And there's a permanent live that then runs down to your switch wire. The return from your switch wire, which used to go into the lighting circuit, now goes to the Shelly 1 into the SW port. So that's your return from your light switch. And then the output of the relay on the Shelly 1 goes to the lighting circuit. So now when we switch the switch, all we're doing is telling the Shelly 1 to close the relay, and the Shelly 1 now has ultimate control over this lighting circuit. Let's just power it up and check that it works. So even though we haven't even connected to this, we are able to locally turn the light on and off. And we do that with the switch, and that's closing the Shelly relay and sending power straight to light, like that. So that's the wiring installation complete. all this would be up in the ceiling, and obviously your light switch is on the wall. Now that the wiring is complete, the next job we need to do is to connect to this Shelly device using the Wi-Fi capability, and to add it to our home network, and ultimately add it to the Shelly control app so that we can control this device from anywhere in the world using their app or their web browser software, which I'll show you next. So now we're at the laptop. We're going to connect to the Shelly device and we're going to test its functionality, and then we're going to add it to the home network. And once it's on the home network, we'll then add it to the Shelly cloud so that it's available on the Shelly control app. So first of all, let's find the device. So let's look at our available Wi-Fi networks. The moment the computer is connected to network called Burgess Home 1, and just underneath here you can see the Shelly device. If you had multiple Shelly devices, they would all be listed here with their serial number. So I'm going to connect to Shelly +1. I'm not going to connect automatically because I don't want it to keep connecting to the Shelly device when I'm on a home network. So I'll just manually connect. Now sometimes when it realizes there's no internet, it might cancel the connection and go back to the home network. Let's see what happens. It's now connecting to the Shelly device. I'm going to enter the Shelly IP address into the web browser so that we can connect directly to it. So it's 192.168.33.1. So it's now connected to the Shelly device. It's called +1, which is the default name for the Shelly device. Now the first thing I'm going to do is just check the relay is working. So by activating the relay, the light comes on, and then deactivating it, the light goes off. So I've actually got control over the Shelly device. So I know everything is wired correctly, and also the network is connected to the device. So now we're going to set the device up. First of all, let's just name it. So we're going to the settings menu. If I just go down and I'll find device name, I'm just going to call it test bench and save the settings. So it's now called test bench. If I go back to home, up here it gives you the name of the device. The next thing is to set up the network. So we go to settings and we go to Wi-Fi. And some of the available networks are listed here. Now the first thing I want to do is say enable the Wi-Fi network, because once I do connect to the home network, I still want the Shelly device to have its own Wi-Fi output, meaning that I can connect to it directly without going into the home network, as well as finding it on the home network. That way, if I make a mistake and I'm unable to find the Shelly device on the home network, I can still connect to it directly and amend my mistake. If I didn't enable that, then the Shelly device would no longer have a Wi-Fi network, which means I'd have to do a manual factory reset, which you can do by turning the power off at the mains, turning it on, and then toggling your local switch several times really quickly until the Shelly device flashes the light, and that way you then know that you've done a factory reset. So enabling the Wi-Fi network here, selecting the home network. Don't want to set a static IP address. I'm going to let the network decide what address to give the Shelly device. The home network password, and then save settings. That says successful. So the Shelly device is now connected to the home network called Burgess Home 1. If I go back to my home position and then back into settings, Wi-Fi, it just confirms that it's connected at Burgess Home 1 and it's been given an IP address of 192.168.1.167 on the home network. We're still connected directly to the Shelly device. So let's go back to the available networks. Let's disconnect from the direct connection to the Shelly device and go back to the home network. So we're now connected to the home network. You can see that we're no longer talking to the Shelly device because the IP address is no longer relevant. So let's put the allocated IP address in that we read earlier, 192.168.1.167. Now we should find it at this address. Now we're connected to the home network. And there it is. Test bench, and we're connected. Test the relay, and that's turning the lights on and off. So we now know that the Shelly device has been added to our home network. The next thing we need to do is to add the Shelly device to the cloud so that we can access this device using the Shelly control app. Now the Shelly control app is something you would have on your mobile phone or your iPad on site. You can also call it up on your laptop at control.shelly.cloud and you'll get the Shelly control app. Now there's a problem with this. Once you've logged in, you can create an account and then log in. So if I just log out, the main page looks like this, and you can create a new account or you can just sign in with your existing account. Now the one thing I've noticed with the Shelly control app is that if you have different properties, it's hard to distinguish between them. So you need to create a new account for each property. I'm going to sign in, and at the moment I've got no devices at all added to this particular control. So there's no rooms and there's no devices. All devices, there's nothing listed. So I want to add a device. Now unfortunately on a laptop I can't add a device. It's asking me to install a mobile app, and then I have to do that using my mobile phone. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you that on the mobile phone, and then we'll come back to this later. So we've opened up the Shelly app on the mobile phone, and we're going to click Add Device. And now we want it to scan the entire network, see what we can find. There should only be one device on this network. So click Next. It's scanning. And now it's found one device. We can see from the details with the IP address 167, it's our device that we know about. So we've clicked on that. We're going to name it Test Bench. We're going to select an icon for it. I'm just going to use the default picture of the Shelly 1 Plus. And now we need to add a room. We need to put it in a room. So let's create a room because we don't have one. So we'll just call it Test Room. We'll add an icon for that. Saved. And now it's adding the device to the Shelly cloud, and then it'll be able to associate this device with our Shelly control app. And there it is. Sometimes it takes a while for that to occur, but that one happened fairly quickly. And we can now control the relay on and off from within this control app. And there's the test room on all devices, all rooms. All devices shows a list, and you can click on the device and get some programming features as well as controlling it. There's a menu in the settings where you can make amendments to the configuration of the device using the control app. You can see the IP address, device name, etc. So we come out of there. If we go to all devices, we see we only got one. If we go to all rooms, there's our room, only one room. And if we click on the room, there's one device in that room. And that's clicking on the device to call up the control menu. So we've now added the Shelly device to the cloud app. We've still got local control, and the Shelly device is now added to the home network, and it's also been added to the cloud. So if I go back to the web browser, let's find the web browser here. I'm filming the screen because I want to show you the light coming on and off when I activate it. So signing in, my home, there's the room we created. It's called test bench. Click on that. We've got one device in there, it's the test bench. And if I turn the relay on, the light comes on and off. Just tapping the mouse. So we've got control of this device through the control.shelly.cloud app. And that's pretty much it. And you can add all your devices, put them in various different rooms, and you could have a whole list of rooms. The only thing, like I say earlier, is if you've got different properties, different houses, and you want it all on one account, I think rather than calling them rooms, you'd have to call them properties. Maybe somebody could tell me if there's a better way of doing this, but it looks like each account represents just one location with various rooms. But anyway, that's how to set it all up. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.